Alright, so the big August 30th reveal just concluded. There's a huge amount to talk about. It was a real mixed bag of an event. Lots of topics to dive into, where we got several pieces of interesting information, like the abandonment of seasons in favor of sagas, and also lacking a lot of information in other places. I really do have a lot of thoughts on the full event. However, on this video, I want to talk about the trailers. So there were two. One was a cutscene pulled directly out of the game. We got to see at the end of the event. And then there was also this one, which I'm going to play for you guys first, which is a trailer for the upcoming Saga, not season, Saga. And it's much better than a standard Living World trailer. This is much more like an expansion trailer. They employ a special art style. It feels really good. I'm going to play it through for you guys once, first of all, to just enjoy for yourself. And then we're going to go through moment by moment and discuss what this will mean actually for the story. I think there's a lot caked in here. People are missing. And I'm very enthusiastic about this. So let's see how it goes. And then we'll have another video talking about the mechanics and all that kind of stuff. So let's do it.
You do not fear death. You fear something far worse. You fear outliving the ones you swore to protect. You fear the day your children no longer feel the chill of the frost or the warmth of the flame. It is this fear that is your enemy, not I. The prison in which all races of Tyria suffer. But you need not fear me, champion. For I can set you free. Join me, and you shall have the strength to protect your people in the trials to come. Stand against me, and you stand alone.
So there it is, Guild Wars 2, the Icebrood Saga, the next chapter for the game, the next umbrella story that the next several releases will be dealing with. And yeah, many of us called it. It looks like we're dealing with Jormag, the Elder Dragon of Ice. This was pretty clear, given the countdown with all the snow, given the newsletter with the snow, given the icon hell even here. You know, it was looking kind of bluey. I now actually kind of believe a little bit more the idea that this is the Path of Fire logo freezing over or something like that, which is what some people had speculated before. So at last we go to this dragon. This was a dragon they were hinting at way back with the personal story. There were more suggestions that Jormag would be the second dragon to die than anything else, and then they threw the curveball and it ended up as Morgemoth. So this is not the top of my list in terms of dragons that I'd like to fight, but I appreciate we kind of have to deal with Jormag at some point, and it could mean we get to some other really nice subject material alongside this dragon, such as the Norn, who do feature very prominently in this trailer, but not exclusively, and that's what I really want to focus on in a second. So, I mean, it's really gorgeous looking. If I remember rightly, POF didn't even go this far with its trailer. We had the in-game cutscene teaser thing with the pyramids and stuff, but the trailer itself was just kind of, you know, gameplay. So we're not dealing with an expansion right now, but the trailer itself is of expansion quality, and I think that's quite nice. So before we roll through the footage individually, I'll just let it play for you guys in the background so you can really enjoy and feast your eyes. I want to talk about the dialogue. So I've got all the dialogue written out here. I'm going to read it again for you guys. What is the voiceover actually saying? What are the devs doing here? So at the start, we don't know who the voice is. It's almost actually a tender voice. It could be a friendly voice. We really don't know. It's someone we've not heard before. And I think the devs are doing that very deliberately. Jormag kind of has that Morgemoth style almost manipulation thing going on. gets into people's heads and brings them to its cause, just as we see is happening with the Sons of Svanir. You've got the mist influences going on with that Elder Dragon as well, but I really like the choice the devs have done with that manipulation side in the voiceover here, because, yeah, you don't know whether it's an ally or an enemy, and it's only when it starts saying messed up stuff in the dialogue that then the sound of the voice starts to twist and warp. Like, listen to this here.
The prison in which all races of Tyria suffer.
And here as well.
For I can set you free.
Like, these are really nice effects, and they completely caught me unawares, and I realized, oh god, it's an Elder Dragon that's been speaking to me here. Again, it looks like we're going into a phase now, much like with Kralkatorrik, that these Elder Dragons are speaking to us. They are being more than just forces of nature, and this time, it might be, you know, a long time throughout this saga that we continue interacting with this Elder Dragon. It might not just be, you know, at the very end, as we saw with Krauk, or for only one race, kind of, as we saw with Morgenmoth, but that might be a really persistent thing, more persistent than we've seen for any of the other dragons altogether. Talking about the dialogue itself, let's run through this. They are speaking to someone. Now, first of all, you're going to think it's you, the commander, but look through the lines. You do not fear death. You fear something far worse. You fear outliving the ones you swore to protect. You fear the day your children no longer feel the chill of the frost or the warmth of the flame. It is this fear that is your enemy, not I, the prison in which all races of Tyria suffer. But you need not fear me, champion, for I can set you free. Join me and you'll have the strength to protect your people in the trials to come. Stand against me and you stand alone. So, who are they speaking to? Well, they refer to them as a champion, and this kind of struck me straight away. Look again at the first line. You do not fear death, you fear something far worse. Well, let's look at the most recent stuff in the story, the end of Dragonfall. Aurene was talking to Kralkatorrik about how Elder Dragons don't fear death, that's like a petty thing, a trivial concern to them, and Aurene is beyond fearing death, Elder Dragons are beyond fearing death. So the main idea, I think, here is this trailer is Jormag speaking to Aurene, and Aurene's greatest fear is outliving the ones she swore to protect. You know, she's now in this position. It's interesting because throughout the entire event, and obviously this trailer, actual visual imagery and other stuff to do with Aurene doesn't appear anywhere, but I think she's the one that's being referenced in the dialogue. It's particularly exciting to think it could be anything else. So there's that title there, Champion. So I like the idea that Jormag is going to this freshly reborn Aurene, and rather than respecting her as a fully fledged Elder Dragon, as you might, he's kind of saying, look, Aurene, you can be my champion. Maybe this is dialogue Jormag is trying to recruit, obviously trying to recruit her, but specifically as its champion, you know. We do obviously have this idea of Drakkar from Guild Wars 1, Below the Lake, and some of those dev interviews. Well, on this announcement, they actually revealed Drakkar is going to become a world boss. And that might mean that, you know, this idea, this is a vacancy, and they're trying to get Aurene on side. You could go even crazier with it, I guess. Maybe it is speaking to the commander, and Jormag's trying to get us as its, you know, champion. Maybe it's an even more bizarre scenario where we see Jormag, by the end of the season, it will be revealed, Jormag in this dialogue was speaking to some minion of the Deep Sea Dragon or something to do with Primordus, but I'm pretty sure it's Aurene that it's going on there. But yeah, I really was very captured by the dialogue here, by the audio. And I'll go one further as well. There's an interesting theory going on about the gender of Jormag. Now, don't roll your eyes. Think about this carefully. So far, the Elder Dragons have been kind of genderless. They've all had very masculine voices, and their gender has never really been relevant, right? We don't actually care that much. We even have some quite incongruent, strange stories about, you know, how did Glint create offspring, and how was Glint offspring herself? How does Elder Dragon reproduction work? We don't even really think about that. We kind of give the franchise a free pass. So it's never really relevant to question the gender of an Elder Dragon. But now I want you to question Jormag's gender. If you listen to the voice, it's kind of androgynous. It's kind of feminine at times. So I think largely more masculine than anything else. But why could this be quite interesting? This could be interesting because of the followers of Jormag, the Sons of Svanir, who are hardcore misogynists, don't let any females anywhere near. During all this press, and in fact, if you look at the end of the trailer here, you'll notice lots of Icebrood char are appearing very regularly, and the devs have revealed that this next season, the Icebrood saga, the next saga, I've got to get used to saying that, there's a lot of char influence here. And we'll be looking at the Flame Legion. One theory I very much like at the moment is that the Flame Legion, who lost Geheron in the events of COF and the personal story during Vanilla, their story has been kind of on ice. It's just been held back. We don't really know what's going on with them. The Flame Legion are a faction of Char that always look for power elsewhere, right? Whether that was in the Titans or whether that was in the Destroyers or what they were doing with Geheron at the start of the game. So now, once again thwarted, but still looking for magic from an external place, in the vicinity of the northern Shiverpeaks, it seems pretty likely and pretty plausible that they could fall to Jormag. Jormag could convince them to come to its side. And so you don't have the Flame Legion anymore. Maybe you have the Frost Legion. And this is a really awesome subject material that you can spiral a season, a saga out of. So I actually think the devs might go for something like that. And the added twist there is who else is a very misogynistic faction? The Flame Legion. So I like the idea, this kind of sense that the devs might be going for. A lot of the most ardent followers of Jormag kind of hate femininity and women, only to then ironically have it be revealed that their master, who we're now hearing is speaking and thinking and cunning and manipulative, is, you know, which some would say are feminine traits, is actually a lady all along. I think that could be something the devs are going for, and that's been very much on my mind as I've been watching throughout this and listening to this trailer. All right, so there you go. That's most of what I have to say about that. Let's get into the shot by shot, shall we? So first of all, we're going to open up here with this lovely glimpse across a large valley with Raven. So the devs also announced that as far as masteries are concerned, this saga will have us building communion with the spirits of the wild. And I think they even said the first one was going to be Raven, like episode 1's going to be Raven. They were pretty good actually about giving us detail, not just on episode 1, but they even mentioned some episode 2 stuff there as well. Not much, admittedly, but they did. And, you know, usually they're much more tight-lipped about being that broad-scoped with stuff. So it seems like last season, you know, we had Aurene communion. Now it's going to be Spirits of the Wild stuff. If you actually look at the story of the Norn and they're fleeing south, the Spirits of the Wild were really, like, physical, tangible agents in that story. And I'd like to see that this saga actually deals with that. So we open immediately. This just makes me think Spirits of the Wild, you know, aside from the cinematography of it and the colors, which I think is all gorgeous. This doesn't actually strike me as anywhere particular that I recognize from Guild Wars 1. But we can imagine that, you know, it's somewhere up, perhaps on the border of the northern, the far Shiverpeaks. And, yeah, so we pan our way down. And we start to see that things are on fire. You know, so this tree is burning here. And I immediately started to think, oh, is it fire versus ice? Is it going to be something to do with Primordus? And I might not be too wrong here. So as we come down, we see more devastation. We actually see Ascalon devastation. This is here, which, you know, we're kind of in that intersection where there's a bit of Ascalon, bit of Shiverpeaks, bit of Blood Legion, right? It reminds me a lot of some of the searing areas in Guild Wars 1. But as we come down, instead of human, I mean, it's human architecture and devastation here, but we see the Char that are on the receiving end of it here. So what's going on with this fire, and when we think about Primordus, is this is where Jormag, the Elder Dragon, is saying in the dialogue, you fear not being able to protect those you swore to protect. Now, if you're Jormag trying to put visions in someone's mind of trials and dangers, right? Maybe you use one of the other established Elder Dragons as a boogeyman. Maybe those trials we heard before, maybe it's all Primordus, and these are the trials we're seeing visually represented here as fire, because that's another active Elder Dragon. And in fact, I'll go as far as to say, I think Primordus is the coolest Elder Dragon and has most lore reason to be the most powerful. So I like the idea that if I was Jormag, I would use him as a boogeyman or something to get more followers. But yeah, it's quite grim as well, by the way. Is this a Char cub we can see here? Or is this like a baby dragon or something? I mean, if it was a baby dragon, there's a whole other world of intrigue there. Because, you know, we just replaced one Elder Dragon with Aurene. Well, cool. Then let's say in Icebrood, we actually defeat Jormag. Well, this story has to tell us who we replace Jormag with. So does that involve a baby or something? I think this is a baby Char, though. So it's very grim. And the devs did... This isn't actually as grim as the trailer gets. I think it gets even darker. The devs did say on stage that they were looking at the story getting a lot darker. They mentioned even like Cthulhu and, you know, Eldritch horrors and stuff. I really want to see Guild Wars go in that direction, especially considering how the most recent episode ended with us riding off happily in the sunset, telling our friends that we love them. And so, you know, I want that knee-jerk in the other direction here. So, yeah, it's just a dark, scary moment. We do see someone up here in this doorway. I don't know if you guys spotted that, but I'm not sure it really means very much. So they all turn away. I don't think this is anything real. It's just a vision that's put in our mind. So the next shot is the Kodan. Kodan aren't mentioned anywhere in the presentation or with any material or anything. But we are going to the far Shiverpeaks. We know that the Kodan are refugees of Jormag. If we're going to do a Jormag story, the Kodan are going to be a big thing here. And so we see like this Viking funeral pyre, ritual. Is it a Viking thing? Anyway, a Tyrian version where they're on little ice floats with a little bit of kindling on there. They sail out and then they burn them. None of the established Kodan lore talks about this, but it's a lovely image, isn't it? Of course. And, we've got the idea of the warmth of the sun here and not wanting to lose out on that. Whether we're looking at specific Kodan characters, I don't know. I know a lot of people were expecting a new race announcement or something, or hoping for that with this, but this is the most Kodan we get, and it doesn't look like this saga is going to give us, a new race to play. But yeah, so they drift out, and all I can say is that they'll probably be part of the story. They actually don't seem to integrate much else. There's some really tight integrations maybe with Char stories and with the Norn stuff, but the Kodan, I'm curious what the devs will do with those. I've always thought they could be a good antagonist. So this next section of the trailer is actually the most intriguing to me. It's quite early in the trailer, but it's my favorite part. Because of where it's set. So I think we're going to get a little bit more than just the Blood Legion homeland, and I think we're going to get a little bit more than the far Shiverpeaks. I think we might get the Verdant Cascades. So, what do we have? A Centaur. Well, isn't this interesting? Oppressing humans. And these kind of look like ragtaggy humans that I haven't really thought about this style of humans since some of the stuff with Bastion, maybe. Now, this is quite curious to me. We obviously just had an expansion that is built on the bones of centaurs. Joko's dynasty had oppressed them and built his palace out of them. So they built our sympathy up for them. But centaurs are antagonists in a big way, right? And I find this just a very strange shot because it's somewhere very verdant, it's somewhere very lush. We know that the season is enabling itself to not just add new maps, but expand existing ones. The devs talked about that on stage. My other video will go into that a little bit more. But, so what I think they've left this open for, this is either going to be some Verdant Cascade stuff, which is very near to the far Shiverpeaks. In Guild Wars 1, in Eye of the North, when we went to the far Shiverpeaks, we also opened up for the Verdant Cascades a bit. So there's a potential there. But I think actually what this might be is the devs don't want to let other stories simmer too long. And they're probably looking at Kryta and the Centaur War. And, this is a slave driver. Slavers amongst the centaurs, oppressing humans, are a big deal. If you've played some of the personal story branches, you'll be very familiar with this. So I wonder whether we're actually back in Kryta now. How they will juggle this with all the other subject material, I don't know. But here it is front and center very early in the trailer. And for that reason, I'm pretty happy. But it's grim as well, I think that the way they treated centaur slavery and stuff, tonally, in the franchise so far is they've been very flippant, they've been very light about it, very cartoony about it. That's how they did a lot of things in 2012. But they're talking about going a bit darker. We just see like an ashen char baby or something a second ago. And in this shot, you full on see the impact of a guy getting whipped, right? Multiple times, actually. Doesn't he whip again? And then that's the transition. Beautiful transition, by the way. To this shot. Oh, I don't know. I just said that the Centaur one was my favorite. The Centaur one was my favorite to speculate about. But this is a brilliant bit. I think it goes over a lot of people's heads. What the devs do now is they recreate the initial Guild Wars 1 trailer. Guild Wars 2 trailer. And in addition to recreating that trailer, I think they put another dragon on the table. Seriously. So, what do we have? We have some kind of shattered, burning dock. Now, and we're out at some kind of ocean. Now, isn't that interesting? There are oceans to the north, obviously. Inland oceans created by Jormag. If there's going to be Kodan stories, then we'll definitely see some of that. But we don't see a Kodan sanctuary here. This is a ship. I mean, it looks like it's kind of on ice. But this is a ship. This is some kind of Lion's Art ship or some kind of human ship. Maybe it's Chaucer or whatever, right? It's a ship. And it's destroyed. I think we're going to see bodies in a second in the water. Again, the tone coming down a bit. And we are left to wonder, if we really stop and think, why are we looking at this? What event is this? I don't think that this is a metaphorical vision kind of thing like we saw with the burning before. I think this is something real that the devs want us to look at and think about. I think there will be conflicts at sea. And I'm wondering if maybe Jormag, as much as Jormag earlier was maybe warning about Primordus, Jormag might warn about the other Elder Dragon, the ultimate mystery Elder Dragon, the one we know so little about and people have been asking for so long. The Deep Sea Dragon. And look at how ArenaNet treat this, okay? You've got the ship. The opening trailer of Guild Wars 2, the launch trailer, you can go to the start of my Let's Play or just look it up online, has this exact established shot, except it's a happy ship, all right? And we swing down and we see Zaitan's face when we go low enough down. But look, here we go under. They do the same thing with the bubbles. And I think there is debris and stuff and flotsam as we go down in the original trailer as well. But as we come down, you can see there's a little bit of fire in there. And we're left to wonder. And look, these bodies here, it gets kind of tentacly. It gets kind of dark. I remember, again, on stage, they specifically drew attention to Cthulhu, right? I think, guys, all right, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think that this saga is just as much, I'm going to call it now, is just as much about Jormag as it's about the deep sea dragon. I think what ArenaNet are going to do, and this is so cool if it's what they're doing, I think that they're going to put both of these dragons as active forces on the table for this season. I think Jormag will probably die by the end, but we'll move into the deep sea dragon quickly, and they'll save Primordus for last. Because Primordus, in that bookends the whole Elder Dragon story, starting with Eye of the North. But I really, really think, based on these shots, Deep Sea Dragon next season. I'm saying, I really am very confident. This looks like a Norn, by the way. The idea of Norn ships is badass, just for what it's worth. We don't really get much opportunity to see that in Guild Wars 2. The novels touch on it a little bit. But you know how the Norn go. They're big guys that build big. So just think about Norn vessels. And one of them has been ripped up. Norn being actively, you know, assaulted out at seas. I don't think this is crate activity. I think, look at like the tentacles we saw a second ago before the transition. I think we're thinking of the Deep Sea Dragon. By the way, in editing, speaking of crate, these are crate bodies, aren't they? Are we looking at actual crate sinking down? Now, remember the idea of the crate. We hate them. They're antagonists. But why are they around? Well, they are also, like many others, refugees of the Deep Sea Dragon. So how sneaky of ArenaNet to put crate bodies out in the water who could have been attacking the crate in this way. Who do we know has been doing that? Deep Sea Dragon. So anyway, that's just all like established stuff. I kind of view the start of the trailer as they're putting the chips on the table. They're saying, look, these are the pieces that are currently moving on Tyria that we will be looking at, right? And so they've done that, but they're not the focus just yet. The focus is the far Shiverpeaks. And we get this really crisp shot here where it all clears up. The sound design's really nice. Once again, we see the Raven that we opened our little trailer adventure with flying along. And we see refugees. This is very similar to how Living World started. They're limping. Lovely animations, by the way. See arrows. They've been in some kind of fight. This guy collapses. They can't do very much. But look at what we're actually seeing here. We're seeing Norn being led to safety by the spirits of the wild. I'm telling you guys, this is like, we're going to see some kind of reenaction or more emphasis on the spirits of the wild this season as well. I'll make that as a big prediction. I think that they will be these tangible, active guys that really help us and move with us. And by the way, I think we might see some of them die again. I think that we could see actually for ourselves this story of Owl, you know, and some of the other lost spirits along the way, some of the lesser spirits. People have always been compelled by the idea of Owl being killed, being murdered. You might find one of those, you know, the 4 Great Lodges. You might find your Norn was made after X, Y, or Z. You've always enjoyed transforming into Snow Leopard. Snow Leopard may not survive Icebrood, or Raven might not. Since they focus on Raven a lot, I wonder whether it'll be that. But that might just be because it's the first mastery. So anyway, this guy goes down. Look, this is the Norn being led to safety by the spirits. And now finally, we come to the last shot. And so this is kind of like a super advanced, super pretty version of what the countdown and some of the press has been. So it's, you know, a swirling maelstrom of snow and thunder. Thunder snow, which is a legit thing, by the way. It's not necessarily that Jormag has taken Kraukatoric energies. Jormag probably has some of the other Elder Dragons. We obviously saw Bitterfrost Frontier that there was some like Morgemoth influence. Maybe they'll use that to explain some of the intelligence and whatever here. But I think it's just going to be, they're probably not going to focus on magic mixing too much here. I think they're just going to focus on the idea of Jormag and what Jormag's good and powerful for. And look, here you see the Icebrood come. They linger forwards. I don't know whether these are specific characters that we need to care about. This is definitely a chart. I think that's like a Centurion sword or something, isn't it? But they lumber forward. They're icy. Icebrand Char. And again, maybe because of the whole Frostforged, right? So Frostforged and the Son of Svanir, right? Essentially. Transformed even more fully. And I think that other one in the background, was that an Icebrood Kodan? Oh, no, they look totally different. And then we cut. Okay, so this is nice. We're at Holbrak. And what do we get? Well, we get Ritlock. Ritlock, who, by the way, is looking kind of cool based on the in-game cutscene that we get to see. He's not so lame, like they've actually made him pretty interesting. We get Bram, who I think has engendered a lot of goodwill. There was a moment on stage where they said, some of the favourite characters like Bram. You know, it would have been hard to believe that at the start of Season 4, that anyone could sincerely say that. But I think people do like Bram right now. I quite like Bram right now. So I think that we are going to look at a lot of new characters this season. I think we're going to leave some characters behind. Even characters like Kanak, I wouldn't be surprised to leave behind. Big center stage characters. But these two are definitely going to be a thing. Now, what's interesting is the third. Check it out. There's a chick here. So she looks pretty young. I don't really know who she is or whether she's someone specific. I think she probably is someone specific. But I'll go this far. There is one cool idea for a character. She's maybe too young for this, but you guys may not know this. There's an outstanding, very little known mystery in Guild Wars at the moment, which is Newt Whitebear's wife, the woman he created his sons with, right? She went missing before the 2012 story, before Vanilla. She just kind of left off on an adventure, potentially and maybe even explicitly referenced as being up north. She's just gone, all right? So I really like the idea. I'm very passionate about the thought that once we get into Icebrood Saga, we will see her up north and she will become an active character. Maybe actually this is the daughter, right? So she's like the half sister of, you know, Newt, Svarti and so on. Maybe we'll see that. But yeah, that would be kind of cool to see that that's actually who this is. Or it's just someone new and we'll get used to having a new character around. There's no Rox here. I would always think, you know, Rox and Bram together, but no Rox. You know, Rox could be leaving. I'm not sure. But these three at least we get. And by the way, again, I just love the artistry here. This is such a cool depiction of Holbrook. This actually reminds me a lot of one of the scenes in Edge of Destiny as well, the novel, where they defend Holbrook from the Icebrood. And it's right here, by the way, in the audio that we're really starting to hear a lot. By the way, Ritlock having reclaimed Sahothin, didn't in Requiem he put Sahothin down? Did he already pick that back up in Dragonborn? And Dragonfall, sorry, and I just didn't notice. Anyway, so he grabs Sahothin, and we look out at the armies assailing us. This is basically the shot we were looking at on the countdown with the eyes. And this is our glimpse at Jormag, an actual glimpse at Jormag. Now, there's been like concept art and things in the past. This is the variant they're rolling with for now. We'll obviously see once we get it in engine, it can change a bit. Jormag has to be of a certain epic scale because we already have an in-game sense of its teeth, right? The tooth that's at the Great Lodge. And what I'm particularly interested in looking at this is I want to see a tooth missing. Now, I've seen some of you in the YouTube comments saying, oh, there's a tooth missing. Is there, guys? Really? I don't see a tooth missing here. I think the devs should have gone a bit further with the idea of a tooth missing. I get that they want it to be threatening and they don't want it to look vulnerable. And the second you see that tooth missing, it feels vulnerable. But I think the trade-off would have been that real tangible, like, excitement and, you know, solid idea of what the world building is and the story, and that they're honoring every little bit of information we've seen so far, and there is a full-on missing tooth. I think that could have been very cool, but it's a bit too subtle for me. Anyway, so yeah, it looks forwards, and that's the end of... Oh, yeah. And then we see the Raven, right? We see Raven, but Icebrood. I'm telling you guys, this is foreshadowing, like, the death of a spirit of the wild or something. Okay, like we opened with that Raven, it followed us, but in kind of a flimsy way. Some people weren't surviving, and then it comes back at the end. I think we should be thinking about that. And we see the New Living World logo with the Icebrood Saga. No more seasons. So there you have it, guys. That's the trailer. I really liked this one. I thought it was brilliant. Be sure to check out the cutscene that they just straight up pulled from the game. I don't see any need to do a video about that. It doesn't really need much analysis. One of the devs did actually tweet, though, the name of a character in the background. She's called Cretia Stoneglow and could well be a part of Ritlock Brimstone's warband. But that was a really nice little cutscene. If you guys desperately want a commentary on that trailer, on that cutscene, let me know in the comments. But I doubt you do. I'll see you very soon as well for more stuff on what actually happened on stage and some of the more mixed response that I have to that. See you guys over there. Thanks very much for watching. Take it easy.